Why are the guys taking today? Can I do that over?
Nope, you're live.
Shit! Why are the guys doing gear today taking so much more than they were taking in the 90s, and the result is really not that much different?
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
It just came out! Look at that!
I love it!
And we're back for another installment of After Hours with the Whack Pack. I'm Dave Palumbo, and we are live. And I think John always forgets that we're live here too. So there's no do-overs, John. There's no do-overs.
But that was a good save. I mean, come on.
Yes. As Jimmy always said 15 years ago, when are we going live? You know, it's funny because Jimmy Pilecki used to always say, when are we going live? You know, meaning that when we're going to record a show, because there was no possibility of doing live shows back in 2000, whatever it was, 9 or 10, when we first started doing this. And it was a joke. When are we going live? But then at some point, it actually became a reality where we actually were able to do live programming, probably sometime, or what was it, around maybe 11 or 12, 2012. And it was interesting because no one else was doing it, because it was impossible. There was no live YouTube. There was no social media live stuff you could do. We somehow, tweaked it and figured it out using this website called Livestream. And now everyone does it. It's like, anyone who has a phone can live stream anything. It's almost a joke at this point.
Dave, remember when we used to have to call in to Voice America?
Yeah.
That was we used to literally had to call in. Everybody had to call in this number, and then we were put on like a party line, and then they recorded the show.
And it was like $200 per episode to record it.
I love Voice America. That was great.
Yeah, because you didn't have to do anything. That's why you just fucking picked up your analog telephone and called in.
You're right.
He had a dial phone he was using. He probably still has the phone in his house, I'm sure.
I bet he does.
Is it attached to your refrigerator with the long cord?
Yeah.
You got that?
Oh, remember when we grew up, there was one phone in the house with that one on the wall with the long cord. It was
and
only one.
Your mother would scream.
And whenever it rang, there was a stampede of brothers and sisters.
Yeah. And that cord was so long. You could, if you really were talented, you could stretch it all the way upstairs to the bedroom.
And it always got stretched. Remember, you had to wind it around the phone. It was hanging on the wall like a lasso.
My mother would always yell, I'm waiting for your grandmother to call. Get off the phone. Then when call waiting came, you thought it was the greatest thing. Like, hold on a minute. You know what I mean?
My father couldn't handle call waiting. He didn't know how to do. He didn't know how to switch over.
I'll tell you what. I took a phone off the wall about only 5 years ago downstairs in the house, right? And it still had the YO2 number. You remember, like Murray Hill 7. You remember all that shit?
That was Myrtle 2, 8571.
John, IV3, right? You remember?
Remember that?
Our special guest today, Leo Meyerhofer, doesn't know what the fuck we're talking about because he's too young.
My mother's like, your father's waiting to call from the train station. There's a snowstorm. And I have 5 brothers and sisters. And my dad tried calling for like 2 hours. He had to walk home. There were no cabs from the train station.
That's because your brother Bobby took it off the hook. He didn't want to know.
What?
I want to bring up a topic, and I'm gonna let you all chime in on this. I was watching a Tony Robbins seminar that he gave for free over the last 4 days, and he told a story that resonated with me because it's kind of very similar to my experience. And he said I forget where he was working. He was at an ATM machine at some bank, and he had to take some money out. And this is when he had no money. He was poor. He had to pay his rent or something like that, and it was late. And he realized that he missed the last bus, and he was 16 miles away from his house. So he's like, don't worry. And he said, we're going to run home, start running, and, that lasted, he said, about a mile, he said. And then I realized that I wasn't going to be possible to run 16 miles home. So now I'm walking, he's like, and I'm like starting to go through all these, these thoughts like, oh, what a loser I am. I don't have a car. I can't get around. I have no money, and then he's like, fuck this. He goes, I'm not going to give up. And he's like, so now he starts power walking. And, needless to say, to make the story short, he gets home eventually. But he's talking to himself the whole way. He's like, you can do this. This is nothing. If you can go 16 miles, you can do anything in your life. And he said, that's what created the Tony Robbins that I became, the motivational person. That 16-mile trek home from that ATM in the middle of the night, it was cold, and I had no way to get home. He's like, made me tough. And I said to him, and he goes, you got to find things that you in life that if you think you can't do them, it means you must do them. And if you don't do them, you're going to be a failure. And it resonated with me because there's been points in my life where just for instance, recently I started swimming in my pool, and it got really cold here in Florida, and the pool heater wasn't working. It was like the pool was 65 degrees and it was 40 degrees outside. And I'm like, I can fucking do this. And I fucking got into the pool and I swam for 20 minutes. I thought I was going to be hypothermic when I got out of that pool, but I felt so good that I was able to overcome that not wanting to go. Because I was like, oh, what's wrong with me? Why do I want to go into the pool? No one in their right mind would go into this freezing pool right now. And that's why I said I have to do it, because I didn't want to do it. And you know what? There's been so many instances in my life that I've gone through situations like that, and it's made me stronger, and it's made me not afraid to go after the things that I want. And I'm sure I know a lot of you guys probably that resonates with, but a lot of people are afraid to do that, or they don't want it. It hurts too much. I don't want to do it. Why do I have to be uncomfortable? And I think that, that's the impediment a lot of people have to making, tremendous progress in their life.
I think that guy's the biggest bullshit artist I've ever seen. I can't even watch him. He's so full of shit.
Well, that's why you still have a corded phone in your house. And
yes. Didn't he smack around his wife, have a drinking problem, and a whole bunch of other fucking scandals?
He's human.
Everyone's human, but he's one of those guys. You could do this. Like, listen, let me tell you something. Dig down in that thing. All this bullshit. I don't know.
Didn't he get sued for making people walk across the coals and they burned their feet? You can do this. The fire won't hurt you.
You got a good memory.
I think that's part of a bigger.
I'm not saying whether Tony Robbins is legitimate or not. What I'm saying is that the message that he's giving is important, because look at George. He does people think he does the craziest stuff, but that surfing, that going out there and going beyond what he's capable of doing MMA training it's things that people think it's impossible, but he knows that he can do it internally. And the reason he does it is because it takes him to another level in his life where he's achieved something that, that people thought were impossible, that he might have thought was impossible.
I think George is legit. I think Tony Robbins is full of shit.
I think I think your premise is it's part of a bigger picture. It's doing the hard stuff is really important, but it goes down to striving for personal excellence. When you and as bodybuilders, we have an advantage of that because we're perfectionists. We're always trying to improve ourselves. When we were competitive, we tried to get better and better every year. We did whatever we could do. We suffered and dieted, and so that's sort of ingrained in us because we were striving for that personal excellence in bodybuilding. But people have to get that in their head that you got to strive for personal excellence in everything. If you're cleaning the toilet, clean it better than anybody else in the fucking world. Do it the best. Whatever you're doing, anything. And that's why Georgie, Dave, the hard things, jumping in the water when it's cold, because you are striving for personal excellence. And there's no other way to do it other than by doing the hard shit, doing the shit that nobody wants to do. And it doesn't have to be physical. It's like when I build something, all right, and I stand back and I'm like 3/4 of the way done. It was a pain in the ass to put all this shit back on. And I look in and there's a screw and it's not in all the way, or a bolt that's wrong or something. I got to take anybody else would leave it there, but no, I got to take it all the way apart, all the way back to this thing so I can turn this thing like a 1/4 of a turn so it lines up with the other 3, and then put all that shit back together. It's the same as jumping in the pool. Nobody wants to do that. But if you want personal excellence, if you want to get the best of everything that you can do and be the best, then you got to do the hard shit. You got to do the shit nobody wants to do.
Right, but it's the act of doing that stuff, John, that also trains your brain. It trains your body to not be afraid to go there.
Right.
And so many people say, I can't. Oh, it's too hard. I don't feel good. I'm sick. It's too much food. I don't like the way I feel. I have headaches. I can't work. Everyone's got an excuse why they can't achieve everything in life, and then they wonder why. I don't know why I have no money. I don't know why I can't pay my bills. I don't know why I don't have.
Yeah, but you have to have a passion first, though, if it's going to be something that you want to achieve.
Well, everyone has passion. Everyone has passion for something.
Not everyone. There's a lot of lazy.
Blow your brains out right now.
Hey, I do it.
No, it doesn't have to be passion. You can also just want to get better at doing hard things, and then you just do hard things.
But if there's no passion,
get better at doing hard things. And your mind actually, like neurologically, adapts to it. And the more hard things you do, the easier it becomes to get over the hurdle to do something hard again. And it's kind of like with Larry, for example. Larry was in prison, right, for years. So when he came out, he was fearless because, like, he was in prison. So what's going to be crazier than that? What's going to be more like terrifying than what he already went through? So he's like, nothing can harm me. So when you do something, like one thing that is so freaking hard that everything else that other people think is hard, you're like, dude, that's a cakewalk. So once you do one crazy hard thing and you realize, damn, I can do that. You're like, the other things you thought that were hard, you were like, that's nothing. Like I was like, when I was a cyclist, I rode my bike after a crash, and I had like, it was like a broken collarbone, but it's called the explosion of the joint here. And I rode in the winter, in the snow, even downhill with one arm. I just had to train to finish in the last race to be top 10. And I made it, and I went up the ranks. But
you had a passion.
Everyone
to
thought
do
I
that.
was crazy. But
You had a passion, a will to want to do that. Sometimes in life, we're forced to travel a path we don't want to walk, but we can't choose the way we walk that path.
But Greg, there are people, I see bodybuilders that say they're passionate about bodybuilding and they're not willing to go.
No, those are the guys that walk in the fucking gym from day one and say, bro, where can I get some of that steroid shit or whatever?
Yeah.
I want to get that. You know what I mean? We all fucking worked out for a while before.
But Greg, I know guys that have spent their, like, really dedicated themselves to, like, they think delusionally that they're going to be like great bodybuilders, and they just don't train that hard, and they just don't eat the right amount of foods, and they just don't give 100% to it, and then they wonder why they're not making improvements.
But I believe
they blame their coach. They
I believe they don't have the passion, Dave. Dave, they don't have the passion. You know why? Because they watch these videos. No matter what it is, you could do it, and this and that, and it's not true. It's just not true.
Right?
You know
It's not. Greg has a
give 100% to it.
Greg has a really good point about passion, because a lot of times in life, kids are growing up, they exhibit a passion for something and they're dissuaded from doing it because it's not popular, it's not profitable, it's not this or it's not that. And that kills a part of a person's psyche. So if you have a passion for something, you got to act on the passion for whatever that thing may be. Unfortunately, society puts different values on different passions. If you have a passion for being a doctor, you're going to make a lot more money for someone who has a passion for making chess pieces.
Right.
It just depends on what society. Bodybuilding is a great example of that. Bodybuilding is one of the hardest fucking things in the entire world to do. I don't know anybody who's gone through a show and said, fuck, that was easy. Nobody. Nobody. I know doctors, lawyers, you know.
We know one guy who would say that. One guy.
But as for the rest of the world.
Yeah, but John,
so what I'm saying is, as hard as that is, as incredibly rigorous and insanely selfish and self-absorbed and completely absorbed you are in that, how much drive and passion you have to put into that, society just doesn't put a big value on it. I mean, take any Mr. Olympia. They're nowhere in the category of top basketball star, football star, baseball star, nowhere near it. Society just doesn't put that high a value on us. Doesn't mean we don't work hard. Doesn't mean we suffer and there isn't passion there. Just the passion is just.
Yeah, but John, you have a passion. You have a passion for what you do. I could never you. You can build a motorcycle. You can, because you have something in you.
Someone's got something playing in the background. Is that you, Armand?
Yeah, I think it's our voices repeating.
No.
It's a passion, John, that you have. I know you build motorcycles, you could build a house, you build extensions of it, you go build a swimming pool. Dude, I can look at a car and I'm like, dude, I have no desire to fucking work on a car. Nothing.
Hold on. Armand, something's echoing on your side. When I mute you, it goes away. So I don't know, maybe you need to come back in again.
John also likes cake.
What's up?
Listen, you have John, so you could do those things. So you give me a car and say, Greg, you got to fix that fucking car. I have no desire. Like, I could look at a Lamborghini and I'd be like, I don't give a shit about it. You know what I mean? I don't care about that kind of shit. You can tell by looking at my cars. But
I think you're missing the point, Greg. The point is, when I was a runner, okay, there was a day I used to run every day, right?
And but you had a passion for that.
There was 2 feet of snow outside, okay, and I'm like, I was jonesing. I'm like, I got to go for a run. So I put on my track spikes, okay? Now, when you go for a long distance run, you don't wear track spikes, but it was so heavy, the snow was so thick that I would have killed myself. So I put track spikes on and I ran. I said, I'm going to go run 2 miles just to get it out of my system. And once I got out there, I'm like, I can do 10 miles. I can do my 10.
But you had a passion to do that.
Your feet would have fallen.
Let me finish. Let me finish, Greg. People were pulling over. They're like, we'll give you a ride. Get in. I'm like, no, I'm fine. I was doing better than the cars were because the cars were all over the place. And I ran the 10 miles and I got back and I said, this was when I was like 18. I'm like, you know what? If I could do that, I can do anything that I put my mind to. There's nothing harder than what I just did. Nothing.
No. It's when you do what you don't want to do.
No,
if you force me to work on a car.
People want to do shit all the time and they're too scared to go after it because they don't think they can accomplish it. They have doubt.
Yeah, but what greatness comes when you do what you want to do.
In track spikes, you can do anything. So yeah, sometimes have to challenge yourself to do things that are insane to prove to yourself that you can do it. Like if you say to yourself, there's no way I can do that. That means you absolutely have to do that. And that was the message that Rob said. Because if you do that, you'll prove to yourself, I can do anything. Because you thought you couldn't do it, and yet you showed you could do it.
Greg, when I was a cyclist and I was in Germany and it was freaking snowing, I had zero desire to train. Zero. But I freaking did it because I had to, because I wanted to win that race. That was all discipline. There was passion somewhere, like all the way back. It fucking sucked. And I was like, I want to stay home. It's freezing. But I'm getting out there. I'm like, I'm starting to ride. I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck am I doing? And when I get back home,
you feel good after you do it too. You feel great after you do it.
Yeah, but you're missing the point. You wanted to ride that bike. You wanted to ride that bike.
He didn't want to ride
that.
No, he did not want to ride the bike. He wanted the result of riding the bike. He didn't want to ride the bike.
It's when you have to do something you don't want to do. You understand?
Greg, this is how it is. Everybody on this show has competed in a bodybuilding contest. So we all know what it takes to get ready for a show. You can say, Dave, that was the hardest thing I ever did. This was the hardest thing. Skating. What? No, the hardest thing ever to do is get shredded for a show. That's the hardest thing to do because it's drawn out. And how many conversations do you have with yourself over the course of the 16, 18, 20 weeks, whatever it is? I'm going to quit this tomorrow. What the fuck am I doing this for? I don't want to do this. But you made a commitment. You committed to yourself that you're going to push, that you're going to see this through and accomplish this. And during the course of that, like riding the bike, like Leo riding the bike, it's the result. We want to be on stage, shredded. How do you get there? By doing all of this hard shit nobody wants to do.
I get that, but it's when you have a passion for something, it's different. When you're forced to do something that you don't want to do. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's when greatness really comes. If you made me you fucking told me to save your girlfriend's life, you must fix this. I know nothing about cars. I know the gas goes in the back and the money goes out the window. You understand? I don't know anything about cars. I don't know what a carburetor looks like. I know what a radiator looks like. That's it. If you told me, here's the fucking instructions, you can't save your girlfriend's life, you have to do this shit, I'd be in there fucking sweating, dripping, and that's when your guts really come up, is when you do something that you're forced to do. When you have to walk a path.
You have to force yourself to do it. That's what you're missing the point of. It's not when someone puts a gun to your head.
Right.
You need to do it. Because if you don't force yourself to do it, then you don't get the results from it.
It doesn't matter who's
harder.
forcing you.
It's way harder if you have to not be forced. Because if you're forced, you have no choice. You freaking do it.
Right.
But you're talking about
not
guts.
being forced, then you have to do it because out of your own.
Greg, you know how many times I've heard of
own inner.
No, you're talking about guts, though. Like if you were thrown on a desert island and you had to fucking jump out there and fish and eat shit on your own and go out in the wilderness, you know what I'm saying? Or forced to fucking survive. That's a different story. Then, I'm a bike rider. That's what I do.
I'm talking about voluntarily doing it. Like, in other words, I hear you say on this show a lot, I can't do this. I can't go here. I can't do this. You say it all the time.
Good.
Because I really don't want to do it.
More can'ts to your life.
How much have I accomplished?
Instead of saying I can't, you're going to say I don't really want to, but you know what? Because I think I can't, I better do this.
Yeah, but Dave, he's fallen into old man. But he's fallen into the old man Italian phase of his life. He's got to say I can't.
But that's how you get out of that phase, is what I'm saying.
He doesn't want to get out of that phase. He wants to get good at it.
John, when we got him to Alabama last year, he had the greatest time of his life.
Yep.
He was so alive. He was. It was the old Greg back, and he doesn't even realize. He doesn't even realize it.
He was telling total strangers about his personal health problem.
Yes.
Every waitress in Alabama knew he didn't have a gallbladder.
That's because he was diabetic.
That's because of Lee Priest.
In the city, I heard.
So many people
said they want to honor you this time at the next show.
Hey.
Giving Greg the key to the city. And they can put a statue of you next to Rosa Parks.
It only opens the bathroom.
Here's a good. I'm going to put this guy's comment. Hold on, I'm going to put this guy's comment up. Dave, you never made it as a bodybuilder. No, but I made it in the bodybuilding world, and I'm making a lot of money from it.
What does that even mean?
What does that mean? People try to compare like you didn't get your pro card. You know how hard it was when Dave.
I gotta say something. Dave was one of the biggest.
No, hold on. Dave, when Dave was competing, the competition at that time was unreal. It was the best of the best of the best. Even when I was competing, it was insanely hard to get your pro card. Dave, it was just like wrong time, wrong day. I mean, he beat all these guys over and over and over.
They get that shit away.
If Dave got on the pro stage, he would be beating all these guys in that time. And back then, too, he would be beating tons of these guys. It's just, how things happen. A lot of these guys, like Dave and other guys in the industry didn't get their card at a certain time. And then, it is what it is. But,
Yeah, but Dave was one of the biggest fucking guys. If you saw
I saw him in person. These different freaking veins.
You didn't know Dave in the 90s. Listen, let me tell you something. When I first saw Dave, he was fucking 300 some pounds. His veins were striated at 300 some pounds. The fucking guy, Dave, have you ever been able to pinch a roll of fat or anything on your body? Even when, dude, these guys today, Dave was a mass monster. And you want to talk about building your body to the ultimate. I mean, Dave was fucking jacked. The pro card had nothing to do with him putting on muscle, because he put on a fucking lot of muscle. That guy was, there's a reason why they called him Jumbo Palumbo. It wasn't because, you know, he does have a big head, but it wasn't because of that. No.
And to say you're not a professional, you're not a professional bodybuilder just because, your profession is bodybuilding, because Dave is a professional bodybuilder. That's what you do for a living. Just because the IFBB didn't hand you a little card that said, okay, you got a little card, now you're an IFBB. How many IFBBs today? Nobody even knows who they are. Like we talked about before, you go into a gym, nobody even knows who these IFBBs are. There's how many classic IFBBs are there? And you're like looking at the person, you're like, you're a pro in what? Like you're like, you don't know what pro. Like pro what? It's watered down, and it's lost its value, and it's sad. I mean, I think I saw Dave back in, I don't know what show, but I mean, I was literally scared to go up to him. He was so scared, so freaky looking. I mean,
he was humongous.
I mean, it was insane. And so to not have that on, I mean, to not get that on the pro stage and actually see that compared to those other pros, it sucks. But I mean,
yeah,
well, I mean, do you think it was political back then, Dave? Do you think part of it was political? Because I was there, I think, when Chris, what's the guy, the blonde,
Chris Cook.
Was that 2004 Miami?
And the crowd was booing.
Yeah, that was in Vegas. No, you know, what my point was not about a pro card. The reason I put that comment up was because my goal was to make a living from bodybuilding. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you think when you first get into it, you have to be Mr. Olympia, right? Or you have to be on a pro stage to do that. And what I learned was that I achieved my goal, because to this day, I'm still feeding myself and my family, right, by the bodybuilding world, through the bodybuilding world. So everything that bodybuilding gave me enabled me to live the lifestyle that I'm living now, and to do the things that I love, and to get paid for doing the stuff I love. So I achieved what I set out to. I just didn't know what the pathway was to what I wanted to achieve. So if you put a certain desire out, hey, I want to be in the bodybuilding industry, I want to get paid to be a bodybuilder, and I want to make a really good living from it, then you don't know where that's going to take you. You think it's going to take you to the Olympia stage, but it doesn't always take you to the Olympia stage. And so I think that when you put your desire out there, just release it, you know, and take the journey and enjoy the journey, and wherever it takes you, it's going to take you, you know. And I got to the point where I wanted to, because not only did I make money from bodybuilding, because from guest posing and all the other stuff, and starting my own supplement company and media's company, but I actually have a life after competition, which a lot of bodybuilders don't have. So,
don't you think it's a blessing in disguise, Dave? Because don't you think if you made it to like that Olympia stage, the drugs, because I know if I turned pro in 2011, when my house got raided and all that, I think like that was a blessing in disguise. I think if I took that route, I probably maybe would have had kidney failure, or I wouldn't have made money in the sport. And I think, maybe with you too, do you think if you got to that Olympia stage, okay, you know how your mindset was back then? Okay, I'm doing this much now, I'm gonna double it to compete with these guys, and then you never where you would have been today. You would have been another dead bodybuilder.
I don't know if I would have doubled and done the more drugs, but just continuing to do the drugs would have been the problem, I think.
Was it 2004 Miami Nationals you were at, right?
Yes.
That's when Chris Dim won the heavyweight, I believe it was.
I think so.
And I was in that same class.
Oh, okay.
That's the first time I saw Dave in person, and backstage, he walked back there. He was so humongous and ripped. Like everybody looked like a child next to him.
Yeah, he was trying.
And then later that year, I saw him at the Olympia walking around with Greg Kovacs, and they were wearing those flannel shirts with the sleeves cut off and shorts.
Dude, Larry, I threw so much of those away. I miss those freaking shirts.
But anyways, both of them were so huge and shredded, just like walking around the Olympia. Everybody was staring. They were like bigger than anybody competing. It was freaky.
Yeah, you know what's funny though? Some of us guys on here, some of us, we worked for the magazines when that was an elite thing. When that's the body. Now today, I don't consider these guys that are social media stars. Like I don't consider them. I'm in the bodybuilding. No, you're not making money off your bodybuilding. You're just jumping around on social media, acting.
Like it is to a certain
we were in there before anybody else.
It's harder today because to be a standout social media guy, you're competing against everyone else. Back in the day, if the magazine hired you, you were the guy. You didn't have to compete against anyone else because you just got.
Yeah, but you were elite.
Getting hired was the trick.
Yes, we were not for nothing. Come on, let's credit now.
These guys have it hard today because I mean you're back then you had everybody coming to you. People were coming to you. Oh, I want to shoot you. You're the man. I want to shoot you. Now it's like you have to self-promote and constantly be on your freaking phone.
I don't see it like that at all.
It sucks.
I don't see it like that at all.
Yeah, but
I don't see it like that at all. Anybody with a fucking phone that can film themselves. You got these young kids, 17, 18 years old. The minute they start taking roids, there's a line down the street for guys.
Greg,
those twin kids. They're not even more built. And I was natural as a teenager, more built than that.
Hey, look at Sam Sulek. Nothing against Sam Sulek. He's actually going to compete in the Arnold Classic Amateur.
Oh, cool.
But, I mean, back in those days, nobody would know who he was because he hadn't won any shows. Now he's like a superstar.
Yeah, but he only stands out because he's a character. He's got the hair and the
cut
look.
The hair off. He's still.
But I'm saying he's a team
follower. He hit the lottery because he doesn't have a personality, Greg. He doesn't even have a personality.
I know that.
It's like it's like he was at the right time at the right place.
He got famous for drinking chocolate milk.
Like teenagers, bro. Social media, young people
like Greg when Greg was that age.
What's that?
He looks a little like you when he was that age.
I had the same hair, but not for nothing. I was that big, but I was natural, bro.
All the young guys back then were good like that. They were better than that. Everybody would look like that, grow in that, especially when the team division.
He's by himself. You're not seeing him stand next to anybody.
Right.
See him stand next.
He's
to somebody.
training at Planet Fitness.
Yeah, he usually does.
Nice pussy.
Tolerate him there.
Is that his pussy?
Why do you want to pet it?
I like hairy pussy.
But he's just now going to compete in his first show.
That's good.
I
hope the last picture of Dave at 285 before he got down. Dave,
I hope he looks good.
Right here.
What do you hold on? What do you got?
I got the last review when you were 285. Then you started downsizing.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't 285 there. I don't think. I think that was like 250 probably.
No, you were 285 because Colette liked you big, so she kept feeding you. Colette said, I like him like 300 pounds, over 300.
I think that was after I stopped competing, George. I was only on HRT there.
Yeah, that was when you did the guest posing at one. Remember when Juan Morel competed in the first show?
Yeah, no, I'm saying I wasn't even taking. I was only on HRT. I still was big though.
I hope the kid does good. But Dave, I just text you something.
Yeah.
Check that video out. That's Zach Khan sent me that video. I think
who's in the bathroom there?
Watch. Wait to see who it is.
Is this on Ronnie's Instagram?
Yes, Ronnie Coleman posted that. You should put that up. That's the best.
Put it out. Yeah, this is very
Who
funny.
is that?
That's very funny, dude. Hold on, I gotta find it. I'll find
it. Can't you put it from my text, or you want me to?
I can't hear the word he's saying. Who is that, Greg?
It's Ronnie Coleman walking in the bathroom.
Don't give it away. Don't give it away.
Who is the kid posing?
Oh, that's
Sam
Sulek.
What?
Don't give it away.
That's Sam Sulek posing.
It's not Sam Sulek.
That's not Sam Sulek posing?
No,
yeah,
and
it is.
The thing that you said, the video you sent me.
Oh, no, yeah. John's asking me who's posing.
Oh.
That's Sam Sulek. I mean, I hope the kid does well, but
I didn't see he cut his hair.
But Dave, you got to post that video.
He looks better when he's eating McDonald's and drinking chocolate milk.
I think he looks pretty good.
He looks like nobody impressive there.
Dave, do you want me to send you the video? Zach Khan sent it to me.
I found it on It's online, Greg. I don't need to pull it. I can play it off his Instagram.
Yeah, because Zach Khan sent me that. That's the best video. John, John, watch this video.
Lightweight. Oh my God, right? I'm on this thing. Can I get a picture, bro? Hey, man, wait a minute. You gotta sit down. Easy now. Signal back to you. Sit on. Running!
Very funny. It's very funny.
Zach Khan, I gotta give Zach Khan, if you're watching, Zach sent that to me. It was the fun, but you gotta watch it without those beeps, man. The beep beep.
Well, better off with the beep so we don't get demonetized.
Funny, the shit he was saying was
Boogeyman is very funny, and the fact that they got Ronnie to participate, it's great. That was great. I thought it was very well done.
Really Ronnie got the hell out of here. He walked in, he's going, Greg, what the hell's that smell?
Greg, that wasn't real. I don't know if you're aware.
Now, I know that it wasn't real, but of course.
Did you see the color of the water when he was washing his hands?
Brown. That's gross. You know how many, you guys go to the gym, you're in the bathroom, and how many people like to come out of the bathroom, whether they shit or piss, and they just walk right out. I'm like, that's so nasty.
Yeah, they don't flush
every single machine.
They don't wash their hands.
Yeah,
first of all, let me tell you about washing your hands. When you go into the bathroom at the gym to go take a piss or whatever, or go to you should wash your hands before you go to the bathroom. Because you put yourself down there. God knows what you picked up from the machines and all the other stuff you're touching in the gym.
I wash my hands before I handle my junk.
Yeah.
Bacteria.
Dude, I did a whole video about that. Some guy in the gym is always fucking chewing his fingers that I'm friends with. He's always fighting his nails between sets. I asked him, I said, bro, would you lick that bar? Would you lick all those dumbbells? He's like, no way. What are you talking about? And I said, well, you might as well lick them because you're over here fucking chewing on your nails, touching every fucking piece of it. I don't understand that. The whole nail biting thing, I never got.
You build up an immunity. Like, Metroflex in Arlington, I trained there when I was younger as a teenager. But when I got older, every time I would train there, I would get sick. And I would go home and I blowed my nose and I had like all the black dust would come out of there. But all those guys that's been training there for years, they don't get sick. Like one of my best friends, Steve Frazier, he trains there. He's never sick because they get used to living in that nasty environment with all the bacteria. Immunity. Yeah,
that's basically it. Like we were as kids. We were kids. We had the hose. We'd lay out in the backyard all year long, and that's where we drink water out of a rusty hose.
Yeah, man.
And then we drink out it. We give it. Here, Bob, you have. Yeah. Hold on.
And
when Sam beat me at a bodybuilding show, Dave was prepping me. No, hell no, Dave. No,
Sam.
Yeah, you're way bigger than Sam Stulak. Yeah.
When you see him compared to,
but Sam's got some pretty good shape.
Out. I mean,
he actually does have good structure and shape.
Armin's got good shape.
1 second.
When I was competing, back then.
Is Sam a classic guy anyway? I don't think he's a bodybuilder, is he?
He's doing classic.
I think he's going to do classic. Yeah.
I think he's doing board shorts.
No.
That's not.
Well, I never saw his leg.
I see guys in the comment are talking my face is red. It's because I don't know I can't adjust this camera.
Yeah, it's red and it looks like there's like something like they're trying to cover your face and not show you. That's that filter.
It's just the lighting. Like I look really pale here. I'm not like this white. But
no. There's someone.
Right, let's transition to the next topic, which is the original topic I wanted to discuss. Is why do guys today? Why do you think the guys today take so much more gear, milligrammage wise, than the guys did in the 90s? And look, the guys in the 90s were big, and I don't think the guys in the 90s have that. Yeah, there were some genetic freaks, but I'm just talking about the average guys who were bodybuilders. Took a lot less gear in the 90s because no one knew to take that much gear. And they look just as big as the guys today. Why do you think that guys feel today that they have to take so much? Is it peer pressure? Is it social media? Is it that they think the gear is not as strong? What's the reason why the gear dosages are so high?
Because they don't want to train as hard.
There's a new standard. When you hire a coach, like a lot of these coaches now, the new standard, like we would take Dave. I think we got started. Take 2 to 3 IUs of GH. Today, the coach is like, okay, take like Matt Jensen. He would say take 8 IUs GH, or if you can afford to take more, take 20. If you can afford to take 20. So it's like there's a new standard of what to take. Okay, yeah, a day. So the new standard and all these little trend names like Trend Twins, Trend this. They're like, yeah, the new standard is taking a gram of Tren a week, and they stay on it year round. It's not like contest prep like we did it. They stay on that shit year round. So there's a new standard of what to take, and when you tell them, I didn't take that much, they just call you a liar.
They're lazy today.
Dexter Jackson actually broke it down, and he said he preferred. Anyways, Dexter said he preferred the way he looked back in the 90s than the way he competed in the 2000s. But he said that 90s look would not be competitive in the 2000s because now what the judging criteria has changed from extreme conditioning to fullness and roundness. Yeah. And the way they get the fullness and roundness is more sarcoplasm, more blood volume by taking more drugs, more steroids, more GH, more insulin, all that. So all the bigger added size is just more blood volume. And you also see that in the conditioning. You don't see striations like you saw back then, except for like Martin Fitzwater. He has it. But
yeah,
I think Martin
it's not true tissue. It's not true tissue. It's a lot of blown up muscle.
I don't agree with the fullness aspect. I think the fullness can be gotten when you're shredded and you carb up and eat enough of the right foods and fill out. You're going to have the look that's going to win shows, because Hadi Chopin, who won the Arnold last year, was about as close to a 90s looking conditioned guy that I've ever seen. And he just obliterated everyone. And people were like raving about how great he looked. So if that wasn't a foreshadowing of really what the judge is like and what the fans like, I don't know what these guys are missing.
But Dave, Hadi's still probably using the same old protocols that he used from back when.
Of course.
And the new guys are taking like way more drugs because in their head they think they need more fullness.
It's in their head. You nailed it right on.
I think it's because.
Did y'all see the picture of his lat, like that weird lat of his?
There's so much more talk right now. There's online, other people, and the more crazy people are, the more viral they go, the more people hear about it, and then they're like, well, this guy takes 6 grams and he looks like that, well then I need 10. Or they're like, well then I can take half, so 3, that should be okay. I think it's just because you have so much reference, and then that the coaches just care about the product, the end product. They don't care about what's up with you in 2 years or in 1 year. They want you to win that show. So you're doing it like I see it all the time. There's like a guy first cycle doing a classic physique amateur show, and he's on trend. Like the first cycle, there's no trend, bro.
Well, Leo, if someone hires you and if you give them a cycle, if they don't like that cycle, they're like, this is not enough. They'll go hire someone that will tell them it's okay to take more. So there's so many clients I've had that come to me. I write them a cycle. They're like, this isn't going to get me where I need to be. I'm like, listen, you start here, and as you go, you titrate up as you progress. And so they'll go hire a coach like with Matt Jensen, because people loved him because he would say, yeah, it's okay to take this, and not thinking about your health.
Like him until they don't like him. Now they don't like him anymore.
I need to say something that's important in this subject. First of all, there's an idea that people are taking more drugs, and it's true with some people. But if you look, we actually had a whole topic of this just recently. We discussed it. The top pros are not taking 8, 9, 10 grams of gear and 20 units of growth hormone. The people that are doing this are like people trying to win their pro card.
The wannabes, I call them.
Yeah. Some are.
Or the pros that are like not that good, and they're trying to compensate for their lack of genetics by taking more drugs. But if you look at the top guys, they're like on like between 2 and 3 grams of gear right before a show, and like 6 or 8 grams of growth hormone. And this is like right before competition. if you look at the guys that are taking, 8, 9, 10 grams of gear and 20 units of GH, they're not even that good. There's that one guy, Chase Irons. He's like taking all these crazy dosages and promoting like all this crazy stuff. I saw him at the Olympia, and I'm like, okay, he's not even that big, and he doesn't even look. He looks like okay. And for someone who's taking that much stuff, you think he'd be huge.
You know what happened?
He was on my podcast, by the way.
These guys get on their phone, they set up their tripod, and they do their Instagram thing, and they're like, yes, steroids are, a very anabolic compound. There's an androgenic and anabolic component to these drugs. And, I optimize my steroid cycles by doing 6 grams of test, and I combine it with the exact correct ratio of DECA and EQ. And they go into this whole trying to sound intelligent routine. Right. I've seen some of these guys on there, and people are like, oh, this guy's a genius. I got to hire him. Meanwhile, he's selling gear, on another website that he's trying to promote because, and so now he's got clients coming to him because not only are the clients following his protocol, but they're buying the drugs from him from another website, and they think that he's the new guru. And then he gets arrested, and then there's another guy to take his place on TikTok who's doing the exact same thing, and then he gets busted, and then there's the new guy. So basically, a lot of these guys go to these what I call TikTok gurus because they have access to a drug source. And when the drug source disappears because the guy gets busted, they can find another person. They're really not going to these people for knowledge. They're, for knowledge, if they're smart, they're listening to shows like this, Ask Dave, and they're trying to get real information. But for most of these guys, especially the young guys, they just want a source of drugs. And whoever's selling them is where they're going to go.
Well, there's not only that, but like I have a competitor right now. He did really good last year. And now he's qualified for the Open USA. And I just told him straight out, I'm like, dude, you need to just do the Masters because you could probably get a pro card of the Masters and you're not going to do well in the Open because you're just not big enough. Yeah. And he doesn't want to hear that. And I know if I told him, well, I'll tell you what, you can do the Open and take like 8 grams of gear and do all this. He'll probably fucking do it.
Yeah.
Even though it's not going to make a difference. He's not going to look better. He's probably
Larry, it's like the guys who I have these gurus out there. They're giving like guys eating tons of carbs and they're doing no cardio. But what they're not telling people is they got them on DNP. And these guys are like walking around like zombies. DNP.
Yeah, they're like,
how about just give a little less food? Dude,
I hate the fucking guys that go in a master show. They're fucking 45 and they're like, I'm a master champion.
They're 35. Right? They're doing it at 35.
That's ridiculous. You should be a master. Should be like 60 or something like that.
A lot of these guys start late, Greg. Though they don't even touch a drug until they're in their like late 30s, so they're able to last a lot longer. But back to these coaches and everything, like Dave said, a lot of these guys, they hire coaches. Like I had a client, he hired some guy out in the Kuwait gym just to get an IGF hookup because he was looking for IGF. So he went and hired whatever one of the guys named Abdullah or whatever, so he, as a coach, just so he could get an IGF hookup. So a lot of these guys, they're hiring coaches for drug connections because let's be real, there's a lot of trash gear, there's a lot of fake gear. And people want the good stuff, so they go hire someone for a drug hookup. And they're not even listening to their coaching at all. They care about is drugs.
So there was a guy, a Masters guy. He was pretty good Masters. He got his pro card as Masters, and he actually competed as a pro, like 1 or 2 shows before he hung it up. But he actually, because I was competing around the same time as him. This is a few years back, and he was working with what is that coach that? Matt, who passed away.
Matt Porter.
He was working with Matt Porter, and he told me he switched coaches from Matt Porter to this other guy who I'm not going to name, but he's a well-known coach, and he did it for the specific reason that he wanted a coach that would prescribe more gear. He told me that, and he just thought the more gear is going to make him better.
Well, people want the secret.
He was any better than when he switched coaches. He was probably the same or worse.
All right, I'm going to weigh in on this now. Yeah. So here's the deal. The problem is that everybody already assumes that the top pros are using tons of gear. So if somebody like a coach says, well, I work with so-and-so and he does 6 grams a week, the light bulb goes up. Yeah, I knew that all the time. They all do. They must all do it that way. So they believe, because they want to believe, that the top guys use a lot of gear. But like Larry says, nobody knows. Nobody knows what the top guys are doing. If you say that you know what so-and-so is doing, you are full of shit.
Unless you're doing their diet. Yeah, unless you're doing their diet.
Unless you're in the bathroom with them while they're doing it. That right. You do not know. So right off the bat, the coaches, who are also drug dealers, are utilizing the fact that they already assume that they do tons of shit. So I'm going to go ahead and recommend they do tons of shit, and I'll sell it to them. So there you have it. That's why everybody's doing more gear.
Actually, John, there's my co-host, Leo knows who I'm talking about, on my show, who's a pro, and I know what he takes because, just trust me, I just know. And he doesn't take more than 2 grams of gear.
Right.
And that guy's...
There are guys like that, though. There are guys like that.
He gets freaking huge, like freaky, crazy huge, and conditioned.
But you know what they never count in when they do a prep? Like, somehow the orals don't count. Somehow the orals never count.
They don't know how to calculate them because they're dead.
They're like, I'm just on under 2 grams, and then I'm like, no.
They forget how many orals they're even taking.
Halo, nothing. And then it's like, yeah, I take like 50 Anavar and like 50 Buinstrol and like Proviron and like Halo. It's like, yeah, see, you're on 3. So oftentimes
they can't calculate the milligramage. It's too high. Right. The math is too hard to do.
Well, I mean, look at Elliot Durmont, guys. Like he dropped out of 3 nationals. You see his pictures now. He's crazy looking again. I'm worried for that guy.
Yeah. By the way, not to change the subject, but Mr. G sent me cookies. I know you guys are going to be jealous because he hasn't sent anyone cookies in a while. I'm opening up his first keto cookie right here. I want to ask you, the cookies are keto, but what about the chocolate chips? Are they keto also?
No.
It's not keto.
It says keto on here. You wrote keto chocolate chip.
What?
Maybe this might be an old batch I had in my freezer.
Maybe he reused the bag.
He did send me cookies though.
Hey, I sent you white chocolate, dark chocolate, macadamia nut.
These I had in my freezer then before, which I thought I was pulling out the new ones, but I guess I pulled the wrong ones out.
What freezer from all the way back at the other house? What is to clean out the freezer?
The mailman was so impressed with the box you sent me, George, because of all the little sayings on there.
You see,
my mailman loves it.
Palumbo's the greatest father ever.
George, I thought you retired from the cookies. Are you doing them again, or are you doing them, or you're not doing them?
I think you should sell boxes, George. You should sell like motivational boxes to people. I think you can make a lot of money.
Ask me, I do them because I make them for myself. But if someone asks me, I'll make them for them.
George is the real Tony Robbins, not that fucking clown.
No, but George, rather than with that magic marker writing the boxes for, why don't you come up with a whole concept line of slogans, and you can actually sell boxes to people where you're actually like, people will buy motivational boxes to put gifts in there and send to their relatives and friends and stuff like that. You might make a lot of money from it. It's a good idea.
George, at these shows, the ones that set up like the cookie booths, they sell out all their cookies at every single show.
Yeah.
Like, you should do that. You should.
At the Michelle's, we'll bring back the containers, the Dave Palumbo container and Elite Priest. And maybe
why don't you sell cookies? I'm sure she'd let you sell cookies. Why don't you set up a booth there? You'll probably make a few, a couple grand from there.
Well, I'll take pre-orders. What we'll do is we'll take pre-orders for people.
No. John, would you tell him how to do this, please?
He cannot do anything the easy way. No. It's just like you get a folding table, you put it out, you bake cookies the day before, you put them in little bags, you put them on the table with a price tag. Boom, done, finished. You're out of there with $5,000 in your pocket.
Are you going to help me sell at the booth?
You don't need any help. They sell themselves.
George, in Texas, I get free booths at like 5 different shows. Like, if I had like the cookies, I don't know. I could set up a booth, whatever.
Yeah,
I could probably sell those.
He's got to complicate.
All right, well, Armand, we'll talk. I'll send you a hope when you know you have.
Yeah.
That's a great idea right there. You got
George, those cookies that you made me were
not. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, because Texas, we got big. Dave knows there's huge shows in Texas.
Huge.
Texas, huge.
Yeah, I make
good
cookies too. Dave will tell you.
Whatever booth we set up, whatever it is, if you got food there, people get hungry. There's not. They don't want to go to the booth and buy a hot dog.
Not only that,
Yeah.
Armand, the competitors want to have something to cheat afterwards.
So Jimmy and I are gonna open up a sausage and peppers booth.
All right. You sell sausage and peppers, and George will sell the dessert.
And John will be in the back cooking that shit.
Wait, you want to know how funny that is? The two people least likely to ever go anywhere are now going to meet somewhere and go into business together.
What two people?
He means me and Jimmy.
Can you imagine, George and John? Can you imagine if Michelle got them like a utility kitchen, like a place to stay, so they can do their cooking, and the night before they got to prep all the food. So Greg and Jimmy have to prep the sausage and peppers, and George has got to be baking at the same time. That would be a reality show in and of itself.
And Lee would be in there eating that shit. Lee would be in there fucking eating it all.
Lee would be eating all profits up. Yeah, exactly.
No, Lee would just be walking around slugging down Long Island iced teas.
Yeah.
Like at Nationals last year in Dallas, I was so freaking hungry. There was this booth. They're making like healthy tacos or whatever. They're charging $20 for these little tacos. I go buy 2 orders because I'm starving. I spend $40. They're cleaning up.
That's why a contest to sell food. Back when I used to run shows for the NPC in the 90s, we used to fucking sell sandwiches and shit there, and people would wipe that shit out because everybody's hungry at those shows. Everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
The last thing you want is gross protein bars after you get off stage.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you want a real deal cookie. You want something to taste good.
Somebody eats 3 or 4 of those things, and you don't want to walk behind them. I'll tell you.
Oh no, yeah.
Hey, George made me a batch of gluten-free keto cookies back in Miami when we were at Olympia. I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
right.
And they were awesome. Those things were so good. They're like the best cookies, and they were gluten-free keto. John knows. Use almond flour.
Yeah, if you do it right, George, you could rack up some serious money, man.
With Circulo.
He has a focus problem. He loses focus. His brother warned me about this years ago. He goes, my brother will, because I was helping George compete. He's like, he's going to go great, and then he's going to fizzle out, and you're going to never see him again. I said,
no. Once I conquer something,
get him a pro card. And sure enough, just like his brother predicted, out of nowhere he just disappeared. He lost his interest.
Well, I wanted to surf again.
All right, but you don't stay focused on the same thing. If you want to succeed in something, you have to stay focused on the same thing.
Reached my goal, though. I didn't want to, because at that point, after that, then you have to.
Well, how can you stop doing the cookies? Why did you stop doing the cookies? You were doing great with those.
Because I want to go big. I'm not into.
You go big incrementally.
You gotta start somewhere, George. Like start at a show, like a local show. Right. Get a booth, like whatever the show in Alabama. Get a booth there. People's gonna buy those cookies.
I see this little cloud above John Romano's head when he said, "I want to go big."
I'm
not going to do it unless I can go big.
Jordan,
you got to start.
He starts out with a lemonade stand, and then he wants to be country time like the next day.
No, you guys remember Richie Gaspari? Selling product out of the trunk of his car.
Hold on. Juan Morel sold
the couch, John.
Juan Morel was selling 1,000 orders every time he put it out because he had the social media.
You don't have it. So you
are so bent on Juan Morel.
I know.
It's like a psychological issue at this point.
What? What do you mean psychological?
Because you're not Juan Morel.
He ruined you. Juan Morel ruined you.
No, I'm not done. I'm not blaming him.
You're scarred, bro. You are scarred deeply scarred.
I'm not blaming him, John. I'm not blaming Juan Morel. I'm responsible for what I do. So I figured out exactly what I need. This is how my brother talks when you talk to him.
George, do you not sponsor somebody? Like sponsor a couple guys, like send them free cookies and they promote the shit out of your cookies?
Armand, he can't go. He started out great, and he can't take that next steps leading up to. He has to, once he gets the idea and everyone's excited about it, he has to become, Coca-Cola.
The next step is
he doesn't become Coca-Cola overnight. He loses interest. He loses interest.
Hold on, Dave. Didn't you get money? Didn't you have to? Because every company needs money. That's why companies go
pool noodle.
Right, but I had already been established for like 4 or 5 years first before I got an investor.
Pool noodle. This is what one of my inventions that I
you
made.
Can't
you did not invent that.
You reinvented the pool
the
noodle.
investment to come in.
You reinvented the pool noodle.
You can't stop doing the business while you're waiting for an investment to come in.
Dude, Rich Gasparri used to sleep on his parents' couch.
You lose the momentum of what you built.
His garage, car, and a closet.
Hey, we'll relaunch it. Captain Protein's cookies with the iconic Captain Protein character. In 3 weeks, I'll get it. We'll
forget it. I'm going to do it. Right? I'm going in the cookie business.
Yeah, then he's going to hate you, John.
I'm going to do it.
The next Dylan. Yeah,
I'm going to do it.
Right, stole my idea. I was ready. I was a week away from launching. Now he's
Hold on, Dave.
Yep. I'm doing it, George. Georgie, I'm doing it.
Responsible for everything I do in my life.
I'm buying the plastic bags today. I'm doing it.
I would be very scared if John starts baking and selling those cookies because he's a good baker.
Oh, he's a great designer when he makes it.
Yeah, I'm saying, and he's got good ideas. You will put you out of business in 2 seconds.
Yeah,
so.
Really?
Maybe you want to team up with him, George.
No, I'm using this like Trump putting tariffs on countries. I'm threatening him, so I'm going to threaten him with a tariff. The tariff is I'm going in the cookie business.
No, he's doing a Tony Robbins on me.
He's doing a Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins
on you. If you think you can't do it, you have to do it, George.
Right, exactly. Or I'm going to do it.
Tell me I can't do something,
George. You can't even imagine. You think what Juan Morel did to you was bad? If I go into the cookie business and I start getting 1,500 orders a day, you're ruined. You are ruined.
Juan doesn't even put.
You will never ever come back from that. I promise.
Juan doesn't even put protein in them though. They're just plain cookies.
I'm not putting protein in them either. I'm just making regular cookies.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we wrap up today, I want to just send out a real
Georgie. I'm busting your balls.
All right. You busted my balls? I thought you busted my noodle.
I want to send out a get well soon. I know Ed Pariso is having some problems. He had beat cancer about 6 years ago. He had a big operation and everything like that. And, he got a lot of radiation to help beat that cancer. And I guess he's not having the cancer didn't come back, but he's having some really bad side effects from the radiation damage. And so he was, I sort of put a video up on Facebook. And
what kind of cancer, Dave, did he have? Do you know where
he had some like wrapped around his, like he had to have his urinary bladder taken out, part of his intestines. He's got he has to urinate in a bag
he was at Texas. He was wheeling around several years ago with a colostomy bag in a wheelchair, going around.
But he wanted to live, so he beat it. But I guess the radiation did some damage. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know he had just made an announcement. So
is he
how can you prove
chemotherapy combination?
What?
Is he sick from just the radiation or the chemotherapy?
It was the radiation. He says, he said it was the radiation.
How can you prevent, looking forward to prevent, to catch cancer slow? Like I know there's that scan they do out in Vegas, but isn't like a Dutch test you can do also to kind of see
the gallery test?
Gallery test. Yeah.
There is a blood test that I did. It's about $1,500. It'll tell you if you have any cancer DNA in your blood, which is the quickest way to catch it. But getting a CT scan, if you guys go for your cardiac CT scans, a lot of times if there's anything in this chest area, they'll catch it because it'll check your neck. It checks your upper part of your chest cavity. If you have any pain in your abdomen that's not going away, I recommend getting a CT of the abdomen. This way, that could check your intestinal tract. It'll check your liver, kidneys, and spleen and pancreas. And those are really the only
Dave, I just had it a week. That's why I wasn't on the show 2 weeks ago.
You got a scan?
I had my carotid artery scanned and they were totally clear.
Oh, good, awesome.
Yeah, and that's why
Lee too. Lee too.
He's right there. People think I'm joking around, but I took this. Dave put me on this shit over a year ago, and
that's great.
But let me tell you something. I
Nice
went
video,
from 160 to 80 on a cholesterol, on a bad cholesterol.
That's normal. That's great. Yeah,
that's half. But the thing is though, people keep asking me about that. I say you have to drink at least 16 to 18 ounces of water with that. And you got to take it once a day and build up to maybe twice a day. You got to be religious. You got to do it every fucking day.
Yeah, I like it twice. I have to do it twice a day.
I can only take half a scoop at a time.
You got to build up to it though. You should be able to do it now by the time you're doing it.
Oh no, man! If I take a whole scoop, forget it. The whole day, half a day, I'm in the bathroom.
I tried Metamucil, and even though Dave said you can use it, it doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't work.
No,
Metamucil sucks.
That stuff works. That stuff is like not even
putting
close.
bacon
also
grease
has
in your
sugar
car.
in it, Dave. Unless you get a sugar-free Metamucil, you're getting sugar.
Not the same. I use the Metamucil sugar-free. It's
Even
not
sugar-free. The sugar-free Metamucil still has carbs in it. It still has some maltodextrin in it. So if you're dieting, you really can't use that. So.
Yeah, but it doesn't work the same.
It doesn't mean it's
But I cut my bad cholesterol in half. From 160 to 80. That's 80 points.
You got very good results with it. Very good results.
And my fucking carotid arteries are clear. That's why 2 weeks ago I wasn't on the show because I had to get a CAT scan.
We're very glad that you're healthy. Now you can go travel to Alabama this year.
Now you can tell all the waitresses that you have carotid arteries that are.
I got a little contest we're gonna have this year.
I can't tell Lee that because Lee will break my nuts the whole time.
All right, so you and Jimmy are selling sausage and peppers in Alabama, which they probably have real Italian sausage and peppers. Mr. G's going to have a cookie stand. You guys are going to be busy the whole weekend. It's great. And you'll go home.
Dude, if we brought real New York Italian food, we brought that there for
guys. You guys,
them rednecks would never get over.
You can make it there, Greg. You can cook it there. She'll get you. Let her get you to your little utility kitchen and put you guys.
Yeah, they have commercial kitchens. You can rent that. You rent them out for an hour.
You don't put up the
You just stay in an Airbnb there.
And you don't put up the hotel door. Where's Jimmy, Greg, and Lee? You'd open up the door. We'd all be laying there like this. We eat the whole fucking thing. The three of us would be laying on the bed. You know.
John, can you imagine if Jimmy and Greg started setting up sausage and pepper stands at all the bodybuilding shows?
They would make a fortune.
But the two of them are so adverse to traveling anywhere that they would never be able to handle the travel.
What you got to do with those two is put them in one of those trucks, the food trucks.
Yeah.
And then the truck has got to go to like Alabama, Tennessee, all through these redneck South, and they're going to be able to, hey, you put over here and it goes over there.
People just come to hear him talk.
I know.
Greg wouldn't be able to handle it.
They'd have a couple of Mexicans in the truck cooking, and they'd be out in the front, like entertaining people.
There are no more Mexicans.
Damn right. My girlfriend be one of the Mexicans. Dude, with these planes falling out of the sky and shit, bro, I'm taking a train out there. Fuck that.
Jimmy will be telling the people who are waiting for the
taking a train out of Alabama.
Jimmy and I will take the train.
Taking the Amtrak?
I don't know. I'm shitting my brains. These fucking planes are falling out of the sky.
Where do you go on the Amtrak? Where do you see what goes on the Amtrak?
What would have been funnier? What would have been funnier than the Ronnie Coleman, going into the stall and the boogeyman comes out? Would have been funny if Greg would have walked out of the stall. That would have been way funnier.
That would have been real, though. That happened to me with Victor Martinez. Remember when we were in Sound Factory? Girls and guys would go in the same bathroom, right? And I was in there with Kelly Ryan, Kelly Titus, right? And we were talking to shit. So I went to shit and blew up the fucking toilet. Come in. Victor comes in. He goes, Jesus Christ. He's like, what the I said, Kelly just went to the bathroom.
And it was all downhill for her after that, Greg. You
never recovered.
Guys, thanks for joining us today. Leo, thank you for joining us and giving all your insights on the panel. And I don't know where Jimmy was. I sent him the link. He'll hopefully show up next week.
Too bad. I called him and texted him.
Where was Amin today?
I think he had to do a lawyer's thing. He says he's working on a deal. They're supposed to be offering him some kind of a deal. So I don't know what the deal is yet. But he'll let
Hope
us
it
know.
works out for him.
Yeah. Prayers out to and once again, Ed Pariso, big prayers out to you. Hope you're feeling better.
Yeah.
We're out of time. I'm Dave Palumbo with the entire Whack Pack saying, see you next week.
USA, baby!
Hey, Tank starts radiation tomorrow.